So this is a video I never expected to make, though I guess you could say that about every a little investigation style of video I do. But this one is especially true just given all the details about the case. A couple of my viewers may remember a few months ago when a teenager named Miho alleged accusations on a former friend of hers for being transphobic, which were then pushed out to a wider audience with a video made by Lizzie Rosie, whose video has pretty much led more eyes on the accusations that Miho gave to the person in question. I decided to investigate it further upon finding these videos. I made a total of 4 videos myself about it, which you are still welcome to watch on my channel, and came to the conclusion that the evidence that was provided in both Lizzie's video and the document made by Miho was extremely inconclusive. It lacked any concrete evidence for any of the allegations that were levied, that including the accusations of being transphobic. And this led to a bit of a chain reaction where I got in contact with Flo Bendy. Lizzie was then booted off of Flo's server, which she was actually a moderator of. Lizzie took down her video about the situation and then issued a half-assed apology on a community post for everyone involved. It was a relatively small issue at the end of the day. It was resolved in a timely manner, only about a week. So I kind of forgot about the entire thing and kind of just moved on from it all. That was until a few weeks ago when I randomly got recommended a post from Lizzie Rosie in my YouTube feed about a private investigation she was doing, which wasn't exactly private because she told everybody that the investigation was going on in a very public community post, but that's besides the point right now, involving an old creator who goes by the name of Aly Darkberry, who has actually gone by multiple names throughout this entire saga, but I'll be calling her Aly for the rest of the video, alleging the very serious accusation of pedophilia. Given the serious nature of the accusations, as well as the fact that Lizzie herself has pushed false accusations just a few months prior, I was a bit skeptical, but also super interested to see what this was all about. So I decided I would take a look at the document in video that Lizzie herself sourced in her community post with a complete open mind and not let any previous bias interfere with my judgment as I took a look at what was presented. I went to watch the video first, and I was in pure disbelief on whose video it was that Lily sourced. It was a video from Miho, the exact same teen who made false transphobic accusations against her former friend just a month ago. The exact same accusations that Lizzie tried to push and what got her kicked off of Flo's moderation team. So to see that Lizzie was once again trying to push an investigation, once again from Miho, who was spearheading it, I knew that I was in for a wild ride. And upon watching the video, it was clear that this investigation was once again just Miho trying to throw dirt on a former friend she had a falling out with. And Lizzie, for some reason, whether it be because Miho is a friend, was irresponsibly pushing these extremely serious and uncalibrated accusations. And I am going to go over in this video what is said in the document and what parts of it fail to prove Aly guilty of anything that they accuse her of. So I mentioned that I watched the video before I saw the document, but I will only be showing what they have to say in the document in this video because the video that Miho made is absolutely fucking terrible. It doesn't show much of anything at all. Definitely nothing that has any concrete evidence. And everything that is shown in the video is stuff that is mentioned in a lot better detail in the document. I will still try and link the video in the description for you all to see, since I did mention it here, and I don't want to try and talk about information I can't source. But I do just want to make it an important note that I will not be going over Miho's video, and I will be solely focusing on the document. One more thing I would like to note before we begin is that I did actually attempt to reach out to all parties involved on the matter to try and get the best possible insight on what's going on, which is something you should always do when you're trying to look into situations such as these. Is what I did for Karma, it's what I did for the Miho shit a few months ago, so I wanted to do it now. Now, obviously, I wasn't able to get a hold of Miho or Lizzie because they still actually had me blocked because of last time. However, I did try and get a hold of a creator named Dolly Daisy, who I would just call Daisy for simplicity, who is actually a co-writer of the document alongside Miho. However, that quickly hit a dead end as she made it very clear that she had no intention wanting to converse with me about this situation, and then I and then she joined to two other friends in blocking me. So the only person I was able to get a hold of and within this entire situation is Aly Darkberry herself, the accused, who, even through ups and downs and thick and thin of the past 2 or 3 weeks, has stuck with me throughout the entire thing and has helped me understand a lot more of what was going on throughout the past year. So I quickly wanted to give a huge thanks to Aly for sticking with me here, and also just for sticking with me as I look into this more again, because the mental toll that she has had to endure because of these entire false accusations, because again, pedophilia is a serious accusation. It's very clear it's done a lot of damage, and I feel bad for her, but I just wanted to quickly say that she's amazing. I'm glad to work with her, and I hope that she gets better from all this. So, since Lizzie, Miho, and Daisy all failed to provide me with any more evidence in private in regards to this entire case, we are going to be dissecting the pieces of evidence that have been presented to the public via this Google document. I won't be going in the exact order of evidence that is listed in the document, because there's a lot of different aspects of the document I want to discuss, but I will go over everything that is mentioned in this video. To start off, I want to talk about the accusations of Aly sending alts to Miho server after being banned, as well as the accusation of Aly getting in contact with Miho's past groomer. These accusations are the only thing in this document that are true. It is something that Aly herself has admitted to, and is something that they even show in the document. That's something that Aly herself acknowledges and apologizes for. These two reasons make for a very valid reason for Miho and her group to criticize Aly and not want to be friends with her anymore, because obviously sending a bunch of alts to somebody who clearly doesn't want to talk to you is extremely obnoxious. And also, I could imagine Miho wasn't too happy about Aly going to talk to her groomer, though there's more to that story in a bit that I'll get to in a second. The issue is, however, is that these accusations that are true, the two that I mentioned, are secondhand to the much more serious accusations that aren't true, that being the pedophilia, which is a segment that is actually so small in this document that you could actually miss it if you're just scrolling by too fast and aren't paying too much attention. I'm going to make it clear right now for everybody who is watching. Neither me or Aly are trying to deny these two claims I mentioned above. But that does not mean that Miho and Lizzie get to just pin any other accusations they want without substantial evidence outside of these two claims. What Miho did in this document is use an informal fallacy known as poisoning the well, which is where someone tries to present adverse information to a group of people they're trying to convince in an attempt to discredit somebody before the opposite side has a chance to respond. So, in this example, Miho used the example of Aly sending alts to her server and reaching out to her groomer, which are both things that Miho shows Aly admitting and apologizing for, as a way to discredit Aly before she levies even more allegations against her, including the serious allegation of pedophilia. And putting Aly in a situation where it's difficult for her to defend herself from the public perception that Miho has put on her. And for a year, this worked on everyone who knew Aly, mostly because the people who were friends with Aly were also friends with Miho, and their entire deal is about being professional victims. And it also seems to have worked on Lizzie as well. I wanted to get this out of the way since the rest of the video is going to be talking about everything else they got wrong. But I wanted to make it very, very clear that I am very aware of these two things that Aly herself has admitted to doing. And I am very aware that Aly isn't exactly a saint when it comes to everything that has happened. But allow me to make it very clear again. I'm not here to defend Aly being a perfect angel or even being a good friend to Miho when all of this went down. Or I'm not even really picking a side with Miho or Aly when it comes to them falling out. But what I am here to do is call out the disgusting and inappropriate behavior of falsely accusing Aly of pedophilia because of what seems to be a petty internet feud, because that is a serious claim that can and has done serious damage to Aly that I feel I don't want to say obligated, but I am here to defend Aly against it in this video. All of the claims in here are extremely weak, and are merely tossed in here to try and further poison the well, as mentioned before. The server raid that they mentioned here looks more like a raid that Miho and her friends did to Aly, as opposed to Aly raiding her server, because it's just her dog piling on Aly. You know, as someone who's actually, been with a Discord raid myself and has had to experience it, I think this fucking shit here is just absolutely embarrassing. They show Aly here calling somebody a mean name on the internet, a rather interesting one that I've never said myself personally, but it would turn out that the person that Aly is talking about here is not only a minor, but is also a sexual assault victim, something that Miho told Aly, which then Aly promptly apologized for doing so. Um, it's not a crime to call people names on the internet. Like the number one, like you, Miho, do it all the time, so you can just shut up. And two, she apologized for it. So I don't know what more you could possibly want from her here. They have this laughably embarrassing claim here that she is a racist because she typed out the N word, but then you look at the context that they themselves provided in the document with the screenshot where it's literally her asking like why or how it's racist because she thought it was offensive for anyone to say regardless of race. She's asking to be educated about it on why it's bad so she knows, why it's bad and why you shouldn't say it. That's the appropriate thing to do. And for you to try and throw in like this like wrench here and try and say that she's racist for saying it just because she said the word in general, like it proves to me that like this part at least isn't like a malicious, it's just Miho actually being a fucking idiot. They have a segment here where they show her apologizing for all of the stuff I mentioned before, all of the stuff that Addie actually like, admits to doing, which I already talked about in this video, but I want to make the point here that just because you don't accept someone's apology or don't like it doesn't mean they're trying to be like disingenuous, and they aren't a part of some fucking internet conspiracy to continue to take you down. Because like she said what she did was wrong after you went to her saying that it was wrong, and you're still all upset with her for the stuff she did wrong. Like I don't know what more that you could reasonably expect to give you like with all this shit. It's absolute fucking lunacy. There's a stupid thing in here of where they claim Aly is plagiarizing Miho's style because she has a strawberry theme on her channel like Miho does. And I guess these kids are actually dumb enough to think that Miho owns the patent to have a strawberry on his social media account. They say how Aly is villainizing her victims by saying she doesn't care about them anymore, which is fucking dumb because you don't want to be around her, so she isn't around you, and then at some point she doesn't care. Like I really don't know what to say here. They say Aly stalks her past victims because she's in multiple public and super popular Discord servers that they also happen to be in, such as the Roblox Dress to Impress public Discord server, which is actually how I personally reached out to Aly. Would that mean I was also stalking you, Miho, because I joined like a community Discord of one of the most popular Roblox games? I would sure hope not. The death threat section here of Aly sending a KYS reaction to a comment that her friend made that she sent as an obvious joke is so fucking hilariously dumb that I have to question why they even have this in here and who would be dumb enough to see this and think that it's like actually like a dead ass. Also, it's also extremely hypocritical of Miho to say this because Miho in her own Discord server has said that the only reason she has dragged this out for so long was so people could go and attack Aly and send a bunch of death threats in the hope that Aly would actually follow through on these death threats, which, I don't know why it would be bad for Aly to do it, but you get to do it. Like that, it's hypocritical. It's dumb. So, why this is even here? Because, first of all, it's a joke, and two, you actually also tell people to go and kill themselves. I think that you're just a fucking idiot. Like, why do you go judge the person you see in the mirror before you start judging the actions of others? And then Miho also notes how Aly denies the pedophilia allegations and gets upset about it because Miho didn't do a good enough job of proving them herself. So fucking obviously Aly is going to deny these false allegations. Now we reach the part of the document that people actually care about, and the part that was advertised by Lily in her post, the accusations of pedophilia. And for this, they only have two screenshots to show us. It's not evidence of Aly being sexual with kids, no evidence of her grooming anyone, no names of people who came out to accuse her, not even a possible edgy or inappropriate joke or comment. It is merely Aly making a comment about how she is, quote, obsessed with minors, with her even taking the time to specify that it's not a romantic or sexual obsession or attraction. It is simply a poor choice of words that we are supposed to accept as undeniable proof of her being a pedophile. Simply put, this is not enough to use as evidence for pedophilia. It doesn't show her being sexual around a child in any way, shape, or form, and has given us no reason to believe that this obsession is sexual in nature. If anything, I would say that the obsession here is more like a love a teacher would have for her young students, for example. The point is to try and paint Aly as a pedophile using this flimsy ass excuse is extremely scummy, like at the worst, or extremely irresponsible at the best. Either way, this is completely unacceptable, and I fully put the blame of this on Miho, Daisy, and Lizzie for not doing their due diligence and even trying to accept this as the reality in the first place. Some last things in the document I want to finish up and show here because I did say that I would go for everything. They show all of Aly's socials for some reason and try and say that it isn't strictly doxing, which I guess to be fair, it isn't strictly doxing, but you're not going to sit here and try and tell me that the reason you're showing everyone this isn't for you to go and send people after her. Hell, like you even said this yourself in your Discord group. Like you aren't showing this to be a genuine in any way, shape, or form. So don't try and pull that shit here. It's not gonna work. They show a deleted Instagram account here of that they claim to be Aly's, where she says some weird shit, but it's not really conclusive because when you take a look at the messages, it says it's from a deleted user, and seeing as the account itself has no profile picture, it's like this shit is super easy to fake. So it's something I disregard entirely. Um, This entire document is advertised as Aly being a pedophile, when in actuality, the accusations of her being a pedophile makes up 5% of the entire document, with 25% being things that Aly actually did wrong, that she admitted to doing wrong herself with her apology, and the other 70% is just absolute bullshit that was tossed in here to just squeeze out the most bare minimum amount of disdain for Aly. And this, in my opinion, is just a sham created by Miho that's identical to the same shit she tried to pull a few months ago because she just didn't like Aly anymore. They fell out of being friends, and so Miho, being a professional, a victim, thinks that this is okay to do. And in Lizzie's case, I think she is pushing this because she is clearly friends with Miho. Otherwise, I don't know why you would ever trust Miho again after last time if she wasn't her friend. So that's my conclusion on the document, but there is still some more stuff I would like to talk about. Upon researching this case a bit more, and also speaking with Aly, I decided to reach out to the Gacha Life 2 Discord server moderators who banned her in the Discord server, as well as reach out to the moderators of Flota Bendy server who not only also banned Aly, but also because I found out that Lizzie was actually able to rejoin Flow's server back in November of 2025 and became staff again, despite the fact that she falsely accused a kid of being transphobic a few months back. But fucking whatever, I guess. You know, like I'm not Flo's dad. She can do whatever the hell she wants. The first server I was able to get a hold of was the Gacha Life 2 server, where I was actually able to speak to the very same mod who banned Aly when someone told the moderators about Aly using this document as evidence. And I brought to him the points about the inconclusive evidence and explained my standpoint on everything. And it was here that he informed me that the reason he banned Aly was only for the stuff that Aly herself admitted to, that being the alt accounts and DMing the groomer. And that he made sure to specify for me that he did not ban her because he thought that she had anything to do with pedophilia. I don't know if this is what he said to the person who reported Aly. I'm pretty sure it was Daisy, but I'm not too sure. But that's something he told me here, and I think that is very important to specify because that is the exact same thing I said at the very start of all this. Then there was Flow server. This one had a lot of twists and turns. It took a total of 2 weeks for this conversation around the entire situation to reach a conclusion. And I won't go over the entire conversation of it transpired. I only talk about the important things, but to break it down, I initially started this entire situation by opening up a ticket in like the Discord and talking to the other moderators. It led to a bit of back and forth for a few days until the head admin, God bless his soul, came to me and said that he was busy, but he would keep my ticket open for when he was ready to look into everything I was saying, which I agreed to because I was in college, he was in like university, we were both adults, completely understandable. But then after a few days, Florida Bendy herself added me and wanted to discuss the matter personally in DMs. So this led to a back and forth where I would try and talk to Flo, and then Flo would try to talk to Lizzie, who would then try and talk to Miho. All three of us being in three different parts of the world, me being on the West Coast of America, Flo somewhere in Europe, and Lizzie in the Philippines. It was a fucking mess. That's why it took so damn long. But after a few days of this, Flo acquiesced and agreed that even though Aly is guilty of the few misdemeanors that I have mentioned before, that being the alt accounts and the groomer, the claim that she is a pedophile has no concrete evidence, and that making such a claim without said concrete evidence is extremely irresponsible. Now, my initial push and the reason I came here was for Lizzie to be kicked off the moderation team, which is a request I thought was reasonable, seeing as I thought if she was temporarily kicked for false accusations of transphobia, then a permanent kick for false accusations of pedophilia would be, a reasonable thing to assume. However, Florida Bendy spoke to her mods about this, and they weren't too keen on kicking Lizzie for these accusations and decided to pressure her instead to make a formal apology and take down the accusation against Aly. And while I personally do disagree with this outcome, um, the most important thing here is that the false allegations get taken down, and I'm also am in no real condition to really push Flo and her team to do anything. So I agreed to the compromise, and I accepted an apology. Sorry, that took me so long to say. I accepted the apology as long as it wasn't half-assed like the previous one was. The previous apology when she falsely accused the kid of transphobia was probably some shit she wrote in chat GBT copy and pasted because it was fucking terrible. I demanded that they apologize to Aly by name. Lizzie says exactly what she did wrong, which is falsely accuse someone of being a pedophile, and then she takes down the old post accusing Aly of being a pedophile. The standard good apology things that you would want someone to say. And as of typing this, I don't have the apology up. I haven't seen it yet, but I will show it up on screen right now, and I'll have a little caption explaining my thoughts and what I think about it. So, what are my closing thoughts on all this? Well, I think that this should be a wake up call for Lizzie. This is the second time that you blindly trusted Miho, and the second time that you got told off for pushing false allegations with a shitty evidence. And this time being a far more serious of an accusation with far more damage being done. How many times is this going to have to happen until you learn that blindly trusting somebody who constantly submits shitty expose documents on her former internet peers isn't the right thing to do, and that repeatedly doing so will only get you to not only a lot more trouble, but which is like also give you the reputation of being an unreliable source. Cause that's where I am right now. Like you doing this shit twice, I don't trust anything you will ever fucking say. Like anything you say from now on, I will take with the biggest grain of salt. We have like nobody has any reason to trust you with this serious shit after what you did twice in a row. Like it is ridiculous. You and Miho tried to pathetically like a backpedal on this the day after I got blocked by Daisy, which then made you guys aware that I was looking into this situation, and you pretty much just acknowledged that you did this solely to try and ruin Aly's digital footprint, which is just extremely fucked up. You cannot be trusted on your own when it comes to investigations on mat on matters like this. Like whether it be a minor situation like the transphobia thing to the serious stuff of pedophilia, you are someone that nobody should trust, and this is completely on you. With that being said, I've ranted on long enough. It took me an hour or two to record all of this audio. It probably sounds like I'm pretty like a scatterbrained, but that's because I've been dealing with a lot of shit in the background IRL. But I really wanted to get this out there. Um, I hope you all will support Aly on her new channel that I will link down below, where she was going to restart her content and not have to deal with these false allegations bullshit before. With all that being said, hopefully the next video is about Final Fantasy Tactics. And thank you all for watching to the end. Goodbye, everybody.